Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Taibu's Cook Along. This week we're going to be working with barley. This barley was brought to us and to you by the CARES initiative. CARES stands for Collective Action and Response for Everyone in Scarborough, and this initiative, brought to you by the University of Toronto Scarborough Campus and Taibu Community Health Centre, is an attempt to make sure that during this difficult pandemic, everyone in our community has access to safe and nutritious foods. So if you'd like to get your hands on this barley and the other CARES Initiative foods, give us a call and we will get them out to you. See you soon in the kitchen. So hi everyone, my name is Vijay and I'm one of the community health workers at Taibu Community Health Centre.
Hi there, I'm Chanel. I'm the project coordinator from the From School to Success Pipeline project. What we do is we focus on looking at systemic barriers that are affecting youth who are not in school, education, or employment, specifically Black youth.
Amazing. And today I'm so excited because Chanel is our special guest.
Yes.
And we're going to be making an easy mushroom barley recipe.
Yes.
So I've actually never cooked with barley before.
Neither have I, so this will be a first for both of us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started.
Sure.
Okay, so for our easy mushroom barley, we're going to be working with, of course, mushroom. I think these are shiitake mushrooms.
Right, but you can use any mushrooms that you have or prefer cremini or whatever the case is, so that's fine. Yeah.
Perfect. And this is some fresh dill, a red onion, and some garlic as well.
Yes.
So I think let's start with chopping up our ingredients, and we'll take it from there.
So we're going to start by cutting up our ingredients. I've already cut up some of the mushrooms, as you can see. I'm just going to briefly show you how to cut up your onions. Obviously everybody has their different methods of how they cut onions. I do it in a very simple way. I just kind of cut it down the center and then as carefully as possible cut small slices.
Great. And again, for this recipe, if you don't have a red onion, you have a
Yellow
white
onion. Any onion will work for this recipe.
Even like little shallots or...
I love shallots.
Yeah, so there's a lot of versatility here. Oh wow, you're doing a very nice uniform job.
I try to, and then when I get to the end and it falls apart, just kind of lay it down and then get the rest cut. Once they're all cut, that's the main point.
And are you crying?
I'm not crying right now,
Wow.
but there are many times when I... I'm not sure why I'm not crying right now. Maybe it knows I'm on camera. So, so there you have your onions all cut up here. As far as the dill, sometimes you can use your hands just to tear them apart a bit, or you can use a knife and kind of just give them a little glide like that, and make sure that they're all cut up and separated. For those of you who may not be familiar with using cooking with mushrooms, what you can do is just stand the mushroom up and start cutting that way and make your way through it. When you get to the end and there's no more core in the middle, you kind of just want to lay it down and carefully slice it that way. And there you have it.
Okay, so now we're actually going to go on to cooking the pearl barley. Now at home, we typically don't cook with like measuring cups and spoons, so like how do you, and I follow a recipe that way, but is there another way of doing that?
I found, being of Caribbean descent, that they don't often use measuring cups. It's very hard to find a measuring cup in my house, so you've learned to just kind of eye things, and sometimes what they tell you on the packages is not always correct. Like some people's stoves run hotter than others, so your water might dry out. And so for me, cooking rice and these sorts of things is usually by fluke, just by paying attention to what's happening on the stove. So, I mean, as best as possible, you need to have at least, I would say, like this much more water than you have ingredients in your pot. And from that, you're probably able to watch it and see how it's working. If it needs more water, you can add some. Otherwise, it should be good.
Okay, so to cook this barley, we're going to use some broth. But before we get there, what are the steps involved?
So what you want to do is you want to fill your pot with water and then empty as much barley as you feel that you're going to need. Remembering that they do swell, so they do get a little bigger, so often you're not going to want to put as much as you think you're going to need. Again, it's something you want to play by ear and kind of look and kind of measure with your eyes. On the other hand, you can have leftovers. So yeah, so what you're going to do is get your water and put the barley in, and then you're going to want to get some broth, whether it's mushroom broth or chicken broth, whatever you have on hand. and get that going in the pot as well with some garlic cloves that are mashed to kind of get the garlic juices out and help season the barley.
Great. So today we're going to be using a low sodium chicken broth that comes in a cube. You can use a broth that already comes as a liquid if you want, or if you have some leftover bones, or you want to make your own broth, you have your homemade broth, that's great because you can also really control how much salt and other ingredients, preservatives are in there, so that's always a really great idea as well. And I think, so typically sometimes rice is made with water. I think barley can be made with just plain water as well, but today we're using broth to add in a little bit more of that seasoning and that flavor. Alright, so here is our barley. So it's been, I think, boiling on medium heat for about 15 minutes now?
Yeah, I would say so. Yes, so as you can see, it's starting to swell up in our pot. There's still some water in there, so I wouldn't go ahead and add some just yet. I do sometimes like to just taste a grain or two just to see what the texture is like, what the consistency is like, and determine whether or not it's going to cook a lot longer. And then based on that, I'd add some more water if necessary.
Okay.
So by the looks of it, it is drying out a bit, and upon tasting it, it is a bit raw still. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put in some boiled water that we've already had set aside and add it to our barley, just so that it's not going to dry out and burn, and it gives it a little bit more time to cook. And then cover our pot. Okay, so what we're going to do now is saute our onions. In order to do that, we've got about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to go ahead and put in our pot. You're going to want to make sure that the olive oil is kind of spread around your pot as much as possible. We do have it on a medium fire. I think you'll know your stove best. Some stoves, again, run a little bit hotter than others. So, yes, I'm going to turn that one on, actually. And then we have our red onions, which we've prepared. And we're going to go ahead and put them in our pot. What we want to do is caramelize them, so they're going to get really brown and yummy, and that's when the sugar starts to kind of come out of them.
Oh, that's what caramelized means.
That's what caramelized means. So now our onions are just starting to caramelize. You can tell because they're getting a bit brown, like the color caramel. And again, you just want to make sure that we're separating them as much as possible, so that when we do get our mushrooms in here, they're all going to spread out throughout the barley.
I wish you guys can smell this. That smells so good.
To get to our mushrooms, which are like the main part of this dish, in order to do that, we're going to first add 2 tablespoons of butter to our pan.
Oh, it's a nice sizzle happening there.
I know. Should look a little bit like this, and then we're gonna just dump our mushrooms in.
So now I see why you started with like such a large pot, because the mushrooms are actually quite bulky when you start cooking them.
Exactly, and you're gonna find that they're gonna shrivel up, which is fine.
That's already starting to smell really, really good. So I noticed we haven't added any salt yet.
No, so we haven't. We have some salt that's coming in with the broth itself from the barley, but obviously these are things that you're going to want to also add to taste.
Great, so you can totally control how much salt you put in this dish.
Exactly. So now that our mushrooms are pretty much done sauteing, we're going to come and look at our barley, which, if you can see, has finished. You know that it's finished because we tasted it has still a bit of a bounce to it. It's not going to have the same texture as rice, so just bear that in mind. You don't want to overcook it. And now we're just going to add it to our mushroom and onions. Let's hope it doesn't stick.
Again, I wish for the folks at home watching this, I wish you could smell just how really good everything is coming together.
So so for our final step, we just want to add the dill. I've taken it off the burner. It's still got the heat to it, so, and it's done cooking. We don't want our barley to stick. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and just sprinkle our dill. You can use as much or as little as you like. Bearing in mind that it does have a very a strong sort of taste to it. It's very bold in flavor. Yeah, so just go ahead and sprinkle, give it a little dash of color, and then kind of mix it around again.
It's really interesting. So I've actually never seen dill cooked into a dish like this. I think the only time I've encountered dill before is like, you know, a topping or part of a seasoning for like cooking fish or salmon or baking, something like that. So that's really nice that you can add into a barley dish like this.
Yeah, I actually really like cooking with dill. It's really good for pasta dishes as well. It goes well with, as you said, like seafood type stuff. Yeah, so dill can be quite yummy. And there you have it, our mushroom barley.
Alright, so now it's time for the best part. We actually get to taste our easy mushroom barley. Okay.
It's actually good.
It's actually really good. So this is my very first time preparing barley, and it's delicious.
Yeah, mine as well. I think it's important to remember you can add more or less of anything that's in here. You can do way more mushrooms, more onions, more garlic, and whatever other seasonings that you're familiar with or you like, just to kind of make it your own. This is just what we did.
It's kind of fluffy like rice, but it has a really sort of a nutty flavor that it's really soft as well. And I'm actually so excited. This is like, I feel like I would eat this like if I ordered this at a restaurant. I'd be so happy to receive it.
Yeah, and I feel like it can be a main dish. It can also be a side dish with some chicken or whatever on the side. I think it can work both ways because it can be very filling because of the mushrooms. Yeah.
Great. So, again, if you want to get your hands on some barley, contact us. We have these amazing packages from the CARES Initiative, an initiative to make sure that during this difficult pandemic, everyone in our community has access to safe and healthy foods. So on that note, thank you, Chanel, for being our guest chef.
My pleasure.
And we will see you at another Taibu Cook-Along. Bye.